Ex-Lawmaker Idahosa condemns Senate suspension of Senator Natasha, says it was predetermined. A former federal lawmaker and senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, West Idahosa, has condemned the Nigerian Senate for suspending Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, calling the decision predetermined and a clear violation of a court order. Speaking on Channels TV on Thursday, Idahosa argued that the Senate not only wronged Akpoti-Uduaghan but also undermined Nigeria's judicial system. The reason is simple, Idahosa said. A few days ago, a court order was served on the Senate and there was proof of service. It was all over social media. He said despite this, they went ahead with the suspension without giving her a fair hearing, in clear violation of Section 36 of the Constitution. He criticized the Senate for disregarding judicial authority, stating that if he were the judge who issued the order, he would take strong measures to uphold the law. Idahosa, who was involved in reviewing the Senate rules in 1999, argued that the dispute over Akpoti-Uduaghan's seat allocation should have been addressed through proper legislative procedures rather than leading to her suspension. He also pointed out that past lawmakers such as Ali Ndume and Ovioma Agege had successfully challenged similar suspensions in court, proving that the judiciary has the authority to intervene in legislative actions that violate due process. Idahosa stated, "I think that they have not just wronged Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, they have wronged Nigeria. The reason is simple. We all know that a few days ago, maybe 2 days ago or so, the court order was served on the Senate of Nigeria, the committee in charge of ethics, and so on and so forth, and that there was proof of service. I mean, this was flying on the social media, and everyone saw it. They got a substituted order to serve to Senate through the office of the clerk. This was done. And then in spite of this, you didn't sit down. You didn't rush a committee report. And then the person who is accused and who was likely to suffer from a suspension order was not even present. And so, in one breath, there was no fair hearing. You never heard the other side, in line with the provisions of the Constitution, Section 36. In the other breath, you disobeyed flagrantly a court order. And then you turn around to say, oh, the judiciary is not strong enough. The judiciary should improve. When we are the very ones, by this behavior, undermining judicial institutions in this country. Honestly, if I were the judge and the appropriate applications are made before me, I will go very far to make that point strong. Now let's come back to the rules. They made so much noise about the rules. We wrote these rules, we reviewed it. The former lawmaker explained, we reviewed the rules in 1999. I was the first to lay down the reviewed rules. It was what I laid that I sent to the Senate for them to use. It's not changed. They have just changed, increased committees, a few here and there. Now the Senate President allocates the seat. The dispute arose from the allocation of seat. Now once it is Senate President that allocates a seat and the senator complains about a right to a seat, it's a privilege because the right to be in the Senate is by election and a certificate of return. Do not forget, you and I cannot go there. So once he raises that point, it is a duty, honor. Order 10, the famous Order 10, she was shafted about, of the presiding officer to have suspended all other matters. I consider that a very serious issue, and taking a complaint and make a formal ruling. Idahosa continues, but if you watch the proceedings on that day, as the distinguished senator was shouting other thing, I already heard the presiding officer talking about preparing for suspension. Review the tape. We have seen it. You were already preparing now for suspension. It was predetermined. And then beyond that, the question was, at the time they went to court, the issue was that there was a thinking, a suspicion that she might be suspended. That was why she went to court. If you don't stop them, they will do it. And then they did it in spite of receiving the order. Now I said to them, they were wrong. Section 4, subsection 8 of the Constitution is clear. In the conduct of its legislative powers and duties, their conduct shall be subject to the judiciary, as long as their activities do not obstruct the due process of law. I mean, once the Senate is in session, it is carrying out legislative business. According to him, whether it's about a seat, whether it's about a breach of privilege, whether it's about passing a law, whether it's about passing a motion, it is all not border on privilege. And so when the Constitution of Nigeria says that the National Assembly's duties shall be subject to the jurisdiction of the court, shall, it means it. And that is why they run to court each time they are suspended. Jinda was there, Undume was there. For example, most courts have the view that you can suspend a sitting senator or lawmaker of any legislative matter 14 days interpreting the Legislative Powers and Privileges Act. Idahosa added. This is coming from an insider. Like he claimed, he was part of those who drafted the law. And as a senior advocate of Nigeria, his argument seems sound. Why will Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan not be given the privilege she deserves as a distinguished senator? And why is the House so determined to silence her? When somebody said, because the woman not grieve for him, that is why he wants to frustrate her by all means. What a pity they ganged up against her. Another person said, absolutely. Senate President don't know what he's doing. In fact, all the entire senators don't know their right and their left. But someone else has something for Idahosa. Because you are ex-lawmaker, if you are a serving lawmaker, the reverse will be the case. Abeg, come out for road. What is your take on this one? Everybody seems to have their opinion on the matter.